right, guys, we are back. Another solo episode. You just get me today, so hope you enjoy. So on my Instagram recently, I put out an Ask Me Anything. Now listen, here's what I have to say about Ask Me Anythings. I think that they're so fun, and I think a lot of times people, like, influencers or whatever, like, I don't know. I think they're very helpful to like get to know creators better. I know that some people rag on them, but I think that they're kind of cool. So I did one, and I haven't done one in a while. So I wanted to just do one, pop on the pod, and answer some of the questions that I received. So we're gonna jump right in. Full disclosure, I have not read all of these questions in advance, so we're gonna be going off the cuff. The ones I did do a little peek, and the first ones are sexual per usual. So thanks a lot. But we're gonna dive right in. Okay. I got this one a lot. Are you single? Let's just. I'm not married. Do you know what I'm saying? How's your love life going? Guys, I think it's good to date, and it's weird. I had really like no interest in dating for a while. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe like 6 months or something. I was like, I'm not, like, I was really focused on work. I mean, I know this sounds so lame and like trite and like what everyone says, but that really is, I had a lot of work stuff that I was, going through. So as I spoke about in my last solo episode. So I really wasn't into dating. And now I'm it's summertime, I'm feeling more optimistic about the world. Do you know? What else do we say? On a daily basis, besides writing, what is your favorite thing to do? That's nice. Well, what is my favorite thing like my perfect, it's summer, my perfect summer day is taking my book, like a new book that I'm reading, out into my pool and just like being out there for like 2 or 3 hours. Read, swim, have lunch, swim, read. Like it's just that whole rotation. Love that. Love it when I have a couple friends over, but love to just kind of be by myself and be solo. I love reading on the beach. God, that. I remember one time I was this was years and years ago, I was really, really stressed out. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go to the beach and bring a book. And just the sound of the ocean in the background while you're like reading a book you're into, there's nothing better. There's simply nothing better. Okay, are you single? Favorite underwear style? It's a great question. I am into a brief these days. I do like a couple pairs of like trunks, like a shorter kind of boxer brief, but usually some sort of a brief. As far as a brand, I'm really not like allegiant to any kind of brand. I have a couple, I guess they're Calvin Klein. They're Calvin Klein briefs. They're good, obviously. There's a brand called Wood that makes very comfortable briefs. They're so soft. And then I have a couple like Armani briefs as well. Favorite movie and TV show? This is from M. Nadell 2593. A favorite movie of all time is, I have 5. They are The Talented Mr. Ripley, Cruel Intentions, Eat, Pray, Love. What are the other ones? Oh, Something's Gotta Give. And probably a Mission Impossible movie. Probably 3 is good. So is 7. Probably we can interchange the Mission Impossibles, just not the second one. Those are probably my top 5 favorite movies. And then, or the movies that have like the most profound like impact, influence on me as a creative person. TV show, all-time favorites, Girls is definitely up there. Buffy, The Vampire Slayer, Veep, The Office, and if I'm gonna do one more, what else is a really good TV show that I love? I don't know. We'll do those four for now. More sex questions. That's great. What's your favorite song at the moment? My favorite song at the moment, probably "Daylight Doom" by. Oh my God, why can't I think of what the name of them is? Moto Bandit. It's a great song. If you don't know it, go listen to it. Okay. What else do we got? What's one moment in your career that completely changed the direction of your life? Deep! Wow, what's one moment in my career that completely changed the direction of my life? Probably, I don't know. I mean, I think, like going back, I think when I got a job in the Hamptons after college, I was working at a restaurant there, and that job gave me a lot of opportunities. I met some actors while I was working there. I met Jerry O'Connell, and his wife Rebecca Romaine, who I'm still friendly with. We actually just corresponded on it the other day, and that was, great. And then I also, at that job, they were filming a TV show called Royal Pains in the Hamptons, and the whole production team came into my restaurant, and I remember I was off that day, and the bartender knew I wanted to be an actor, and she called me from on my day off, and she was like, I'm gonna change the schedule and get you booked on tomorrow's lunch shift. And I was like, wait, why? And she was like, the entire production staff of Royal Pains is coming in. You have to be their server. And I was like, great. So I went in. I was their server, and at the end of the meal, the guy who was paying, I don't know if he was one of the main producers, and I said, hey, I had these cheesy business cards made, and it said, Kyle Langan, actor and writer, call me, or whatever. And it had my name and email on there, and I handed it to the producer, with the bill, and I was like, hey, I'm if you guys need any extras or any kind of people out here, let me know. And he was like, okay, great, yeah, I will. I was like, yeah, he won't, because I had done the same thing to Alec Baldwin at a store opening, and he laughed at me. That's a story for another. Well, no, I'll tell you now. Well, I'll tell it in a second. But so anyway, so that night, the casting person, the producer had given my business card to the casting person. She called me and said, hey, can you be on set tomorrow? We want you to come in and be an extra. And I was like, yes. So then I went to set the next day and to be an extra, and as luck would have it, the stand-in for the lead actor, Mark Feuerstein was the lead actor, the stand-in did not show up. And so they were looking through the crowd, the sea of extras, and they saw me and they were like, you! And I was like, yeah. And they were like, you just got promoted. You're going to be the stand-in for the lead actor. And I was like, what? I think we were the same kind of physical type and kind of the same height and looked alike. And so I was a stand-in on that show for, I think I did 3 episodes, which was really fun. But that job allowed me to kind of, I think, believe that my ambitions to be in entertainment could come true. And it's Inlet Seafood Restaurant. It's a good spot. If you're in Montauk, check it out. And then just to caveat that, the same thing, kind of getting picked out of obscurity, happened to me when I was still in college. I was working on a Drew Barrymore movie as an extra called Going the Distance. And there was probably 250 extras in this crowd, this bar, club, concert scene. And they needed someone to stand right behind Drew Barrymore and Justin Long. And I don't know if I told you this story before. And they were like, we need someone. They needed someone to be like the exact like appropriate height to like look a certain way, whatever. And they scanned the crowd of 250 extras, and they picked the same thing, you. And I was like, me? And this girl next to me was like, I knew they were gonna pick you. I was like, oh God. And I went up and I stood right behind Drew Barrymore and Justin Long and whatever, doing the scene. And I was wearing a striped shirt. And I remember that Justin Long was also wearing a striped shirt. So they said, oh, we can't have you wearing the striped shirt too. So they took me out of the scene. I was like, I'll go take my shirt off. Give me another shirt. What do you want me to do? I'll do anything. But it was kind of a weird, so when that happened again on Royal Pains, I was like, wow, this is like, there's something to this. I think that I'm on the right kind of path. Okay, if someone only watched one project of yours, which you want it to be and why? Well, I haven't done that many films. The one film that I did have the leading role in is called The Undertaker's Son, which is like famous among my friends because they just make fun of me because it's like a really bad B movie. But I was the lead. But I wouldn't recommend that one. So I just did 2 vertical series that are supposed to be coming out probably soon. And one of them I play the lead villain. So I would probably suggest that one maybe, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'll keep you posted on that. But maybe in terms of books, like if someone could only read one of my books, I would probably have them read The Lifeguard, which is my latest book, because I think it's the best thing I've written so far. I mean, I've really grown up as a writer, guys. My first book I wrote when I was 21. So like, that was almost, wow, that was like that was more than 15 years ago. So I've definitely, I mean, if I didn't get any better by now, that would be sad. Okay, what's number 3? What's something about filming vertical microdramas the audiences would be surprised to learn? I think what I was most surprised to learn about vertical microdramas was the quality, the production value. Like, they're quite, having worked on TV shows and in movies and stuff, like, I thought they were going to be like student films. I don't know, the first one I went on, and the first set I went on, I was like, oh my God, like there's like a costume department and like hair and makeup. I mean, they're legit like productions. So I would say that the production quality is good for something that is, you know, like really, you shoot one in 8 days sometimes. So that's the other thing. You film them extremely quickly. You cover an incredible amount of like pages and dialogue in a day. That's a fun fact. All right, next one. What's the biggest mistake aspiring actors make, or that you made when trying to build a career? Well, I don't know. I feel like I can't really answer that because I'm not like a seasoned actor yet. But I think just like, I think if you're aspiring to be anything creative, whether it's like an author or an actor or a songwriter or a singer or a comedian or whatever, I think people like want to try for perfection first and then like release the thing. And I've not done that. And I'm sure that is a valid and much more probably respectable pursuit of way to do things, but I don't do that. I wrote my first book. I signed a book deal, and it was not a perfect book by any means, you know. And like, I put out my second book on my own, and that was, you know, like. I just reread it and it's not great. I mean, it's a great story, I will say. I think the story in my second book, Uncharted Horizons, is great. But I was like trying to be F. Scott Fitzgerald when I was writing that book, and I was really trying to like write it in a very flowery way, and it just didn't translate. But that book sold. You know what I mean? And and it built up my career as a writer, and people, like, not everything you do is going to be great. So I think a big mistake people make is waiting for perfection or thinking that they need to like really nail something before they do it. I would argue that putting stuff out continually um, is great because it builds up your repertoire and resume as a creative person in whatever you're doing, and gets people to think of you in that light. And then you can also have this like catalog of like your improvement over the years. So don't be afraid to put stuff out and make things. That's my motto. Would you rather work as an actor or an author? These are all like work related. I mean, why choose? I'm doing both, and I want to continue to do that. Top or bottom is the next one. I'm not going to answer that one. What is the funniest scene you had to shoot ever? These are all like work related. Okay. I shot a sex scene, and I was in my first movie, The Undertaker's Son, and it's it was a funny scene. I think in general, like, there was this girl who I was doing it with was like was like bent over a table, and we were having a conversation in the mirror, like in front of us, while we were having sex, and like between grunts. I don't know if I could be paid to watch that scene again now. Oh God, that was I was into it. It was kind of fun. What are we talking about, guys? Let's see what else. Some of these are. Oh, do you like coffee or tea better? I like both. Coffee in the morning, tea at night. Last TV show you binged? Well, I said my favorite. Okay, last TV show I binged was The Bear, and I don't binge often. The Bear, the 5th season of The Bear, chef's kiss, no pun intended. That was a very. It might. After season 2, I think it was the best season. Check it out. Not sponsored by Hulu, but it should be. A book everyone should read, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I know it's a couple years old, but I think it's my favorite book of all time. Do you know what it's about? I'll tell you. It's about this girl who commits suicide, and she wakes up in a library, and every book on the shelf is a story of a version of how her life could have gone. So each book is an alternate version of her own life. If she had been an Olympic swimmer, if she had married this guy, if she had done... And it really makes you think about your own life. It's very existential, me and my deep thoughts. Morning writer or late night writer? Both. I've done both. I like both. Okay, what is something you've changed your mind about lately? Well, nothing. No, I mean, I'm very open-minded, I will say. Something I've changed my mind about lately. The first thing that came to my mind, but I haven't changed my mind about it, but I will say that I interviewed next week on the podcast, actually, I'm going to be interviewing, or I did interview, 2 friends of mine named Sumner and Cody, and they are porn stars and OnlyFans creators, and they're married, and they create with other creators as well. How eloquent did I say that? So, but I was asking them a lot about like being in an open marriage, and that's something I would never say never, but that's not something that I don't know, I see for myself. But I think it's an interesting conversation about, like human evolution and like insecurities and unhealed, like we talk about all that kind of stuff in next week's podcast episode. So definitely tune into that, because it didn't like change my mind necessarily, but it definitely brought up it's a really good conversation starter. So check that out. Oh my God, my eyes are twitching. Let me put my glasses on. What's one habit, how old am I? What are you currently obsessed with? I'm currently obsessed with, I don't know, sardines. I'm like eating sardines like it's my job, because on the Diary of a CEO podcast, he was talking to an anti-aging expert. Well, something like that. She was she was talking about going into ketosis. I think she was like a dietitian, and she was saying that a lot of her clients that she like coaches and designs diets for have like, when you're in ketosis, sardines are a great thing to eat, and they've like reversed their gray hair. Like it really preserves youth in some way. So, the other thing that I will say is, when I wake up in the morning, I'm obsessed with having lemon juice with water and salt. I learned that from Sarah Foster on the world's first podcast. I'm just blowing up podcasts. That's a great way to start the morning, and I am obsessed with that. What are you terrible at? Well, that's a great depressing question. No. I don't know. What am I terrible at? I'm not very handy. I'll unfortunately. I wish I were. I wish I was handy. But I wish I was. What can I say? I'm not. I'm moving on, because I'm upset that I'm not. What's something people are surprised about to learn about you? It's a weird. I don't understand these types of questions, because it's like, why don't you ask them? I think I feel like I'm pretty transparent. I don't know if I'm that surprising. Maybe it's surprising to know that I played lacrosse. Is that surprising? For 2 years? What else is surprising about me? I don't know. I don't think I'm very surprising, guys. What are you trying to improve this year? I'm really trying to grow my business this year. I'm growing my Substack, which I'm really excited about. I'm really trying to improve the way that I can... I'm trying to improve the size and growth of my business. That's my main goal of 2026. I know it's kind of a boring answer, but like, just the way things are structured. I'm going to do a whole other podcast on the business of my business, because I think it's a little bit confusing and broad. And I think people, if you're interested in like starting a business or being an entrepreneur, I think it would be helpful to know. Not that I'm Jeff Bezos over here, but I think I've done a good job of implementing a structure from which to build, and so I'm going to be talking about that. But yeah. Your biggest guilty pleasure? Probably like, I don't have any right now, but probably like very high quality dark chocolate. Can't get enough of the stuff. I'm obsessed with it. What should I do as a creative person before I turn 30? This is interesting, because I think I did a podcast about or I mentioned this on a podcast before, but like the idea, or maybe it was an Instagram AMA, the idea of a timeline for yourself is I don't love, because when I was 30, before I turned 30, I had all these like imaginary benchmarks that I had for myself that I wanted to hit. And I think one of mine was having all my student loans paid off before I turned 30, and that did not. I think I was 32 when that happened, so not that far off. But I don't think that there's like, I think it's more, I don't think there's like tangible things that you have to like achieve before you turn 30. but I think they're more like lessons I think that you should learn. Like I think you should really learn like to have I think you should really be able to understand like yourself and who you are. Um, as I like look at people in my life or or acquaintances or whomever they may be, I think that I have a very strong sense of self, and I think that people like would know exactly who I am. And that's a weird. And what I mean by that is like I think if someone were going to give me a gift, for example, they would know exactly what to give me. Like I'm pretty easy. Do you know what I mean? Like it could be something like cooking related because I love to cook, or like nautical because I love like the Hamptons and LA. It could be something writing related. It could be something in like movies. Like it could be there. People know me because I know myself, and I've shared that. But I think people who don't know themselves, it's harder for people to get to know them, and then it's harder for them as a creative person to like create work that people associate with them. Does that make sense? So I think by the time you turn 30, I think you should have a really good outlook on who you are, what you bring to the table, and start to create whatever your medium is around things that are inspired by you. Do you know? Like my first book that I wrote is about these 4 friends in the Hamptons, and like I spent so much time there growing up and like knew it really well. I based the 4 characters on my 3 best friends and myself from college, so like I knew all the people, like the characters well. I mean, I changed details obviously, but like I knew exactly what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? And I think that you can only be a good creative person when you have a very strict point of view and perspective. And I don't think you can get a really great perspective or point of view until you know who you are. So know who you are, and then create stuff around that. What is? Would you text or phone call? Phone call. Do not text me. I mean, text me, but like, I hate it. That's all I have to say. No, I mean, obviously, if I like know you very well and like we're comfortable, like please call me. I'd so much rather. It's so much more. It saves so much more efficient. Wow. Okay. Read the book or watch the movie first. Always read the book first, guys. Always read the book first. Okay. I know this question's kind of annoying because everyone gets asked it, but what would you give your 18-year-old version of yourself? What advice would you give your 18-year-old version of yourself? I would just say, I don't know. I mean, I think on some level, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. Like when I was 18, not to the degree I wish I were a lot bigger now, but I would probably say to like stay the course, and I don't know, maybe it's hard to think about things you would like. I'm thinking of things that I would say to change, but if I couldn't, change anything, I could just give advice through the same thing I already went through. I think it would just be maybe on relationships, like, I think I had to learn a lot of lessons around relationships and like thinking that I could change people. And you can't. Spoiler alert. So I would probably give my 18-year-old self advice around like, yeah, you can't change anyone. Yeah, but now I'm thinking about it, like my script daddy issues that I've mentioned on here, like that came after like a heartbreak. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't give myself any advice because that's probably my favorite thing that I've written, and I had to go through I had to be like really, really sad before I wrote that, you know? So, I don't know. What's your biggest social media pet peeve? Bad lip syncing. I hate a bad lip sync. And some of mine are better. Some of my old lip sync videos are better than others, but I can't get into it if you're a bad lip syncer, you know? Do you read the comments? So on YouTube, actually, I did an interview last season, on season 5 of Hamptons to Hollywood podcast. I did an interview with an infidelity expert named Lauren LaRusso, and that video it was very popular, and it still gets a lot of comments to this day. And some of the comments are good, and some of them were like critical of me, and I mean, it wasn't like whatever. But now, like, I saw kind of one bad comment about me, and I was like, oh, I don't need to read these anymore. So I will like take a peek, but I don't go in depth anymore on them. Sometimes I do. It just depends. Like, I think there's value in reading comments to some degree because you learn a lot about, you know, if you're putting out content, you want to know what's resonating with people and like the things that pushes buttons and is triggering. But yeah, I will say that most of the time, the comments that I get are pretty nice. So thank you. Where do you get your ideas? And then I'll just do like a couple more and then I'll wrap up. Where do I get my ideas? I have a note in my notes app that is just story, like book or like story ideas that I could turn into a book or a movie or a show or whatever. And they come to me. I'm like an idea machine. Like I am so curious, and I just think about, oh wow, like I could be in a conversation or having a podcast interview with someone. I go, whoa, that would be a great movie. Like, I was really interested in sex work when, you know, around the time of COVID, when OnlyFans was really taking off, and I got obsessed with it. And that's why I wrote Confessions of a Callboy, because I was trying to process all of these like questions and thoughts and curiosities I had about what working in that field would be like, and I wasn't like gonna go do it. So like I had to like get it out of me, so to speak. So I wrote that book. So like I'll really pay attention to things that interest me or things that are in the culture that I want to explore, and then turn it into a story. Yeah. So, but I'm always thinking of ideas. I have so many ideas I can't write them all. I need a writer's room, guys. If you're available, if you want to write for me for an internship, please inquire within. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up on one more. Biggest career goal you have not yet achieved. I mean, I have a lot on my plate, guys, that I want to achieve. I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like I haven't even achieved that much. But it's gotta be filming Daddy Issues. Oh, I want it to happen so badly. We're currently looking for funding, and I'm so stoked about this. Like, I think people are going to love it. Once I will have done that, like written a movie, starred in it, gotten it made, produced it, I feel like I can like really, I feel like I'm gonna just be so happy. And I feel like I will really have achieved a dream. And I feel like it will be the starting point to a lot more opportunities. All right. Thank you for tuning in to my AMA. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And I will see you next week. Bye.